Okay, it's day 400 of my ginger germination experiment. I'm going to replace this lamp here with another clamp lamp like that. And foliage growth has been robust. That thing never stops spitting out new leaves. I keep thinking it's going to be done and it never is. So there's exciting new developments, but first I want to show you this. This is a Philips light, LED light, 19 watts, 1680 lumens. So that's more powerful than anything I've ever had. I'm going to put that in a clamp lamp and see if that brightens the situation. So yeah, this thing is really bright and it's going to make a huge difference in terms of lighting. So I'm going to reposition all this stuff. So here's what my new setup looks like. It's not optimal yet because there's no lamp overhead. So these top few newer leaves, have a little left to be desired in terms of getting enough lighting. But so I have my trusty lux meter here, and this is the weaker light bulb, the 1080. But yeah, that gets over 18,000. It depends on how you position this thing. That's getting over, 14, 15,000. So here you're getting 17,000. So 20,000 is considered direct sun, albeit a weak direct sun. So I don't want to go too high, This right here gets, that's 26,000. So down here you're getting 10,000. And we have a new shoot over there. So even that's getting over 5,000. So I don't know. We'll see if this leaf under this configuration burns up. If it does, we'll know. So if you look at this leaf over here, that was a pre-existing condition in shoot number 2. The leaf ends have sort of yellowed in many of these leaves, but I think that's just a product of the dryness of the San Diego air. Humidity is usually around mid-40s in terms of percentage, so that's kind of low for ginger. There's nothing I can do about that. I don't want to humidify everything and generate a lot of mold growth indoors. Especially in this original shoot. See, the tip here is all yellow. This thing doesn't really get any light, and the end of the leaf is burned or withered. So I don't think there's been any evidence that there's a correlation between excessive lighting, at least in this case, and leaf death. I've seen a lot of this going on over the last few days. You can see another example there. I'll zoom in later. But yeah, it's sort of like pieces of plaster. That's because I had a layer of diatomaceous earth underneath, and on top you can see the sand. So yeah, I kind of regret the way I set this up. I don't need that much diatomaceous earth. I'm going to throw away chunks like this, and if you dig around, that may have well prevented a lot of shoots for coming up by Big Bertha and Drake, and maybe they've just been entombed this entire time. They tried to get out, but on the other hand, I don't really think so, because Sully here has managed to bust out and escape many times. But anyway, I'll throw away these chunks and replace them with sand, which is loose and doesn't clump up like that. It's because of all the moisture from the watering. It eventually reaches the top and forms like these stiff layers of plaster. But over here you can see little chunks where I broke up one of those boards like this and spread it around. So there's a new shoot coming up. I don't know if it encountered stiff resistance, but I don't want to really dig in there and disturb things for now. But that's really good news. And over here, in the back we have a third shoot, and it's pretty tall now. It's very tall. It looks really healthy. This leaf didn't start until this whole thing reached like, I don't know, like 15 centimeters of height. Compare that to this second shoot where, it's got a leaf much lower in origin, just 7 centimeters maybe. So I think the potential for growth is going to be incredible. And the other thing is, if we look at how thick that shoot is, it's really thick. It's almost as thick at the base as shoot number 2. Shoot number 1 is just underdeveloped, and because we had so many problems back then with fungus gnats and transplants and whatnot, this thing has been on the verge of falling over for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if Sully basically reclaimed these nutrients and the whole thing withered. It's not really necessary anymore. So if you look over here, you have that same situation where, basically what I've been describing as chunks of plaster have been impeding, well, maybe not necessarily, but, it's kind of annoying to think that this may have prevented Big Bertha and Drake from living. Although I have the question of whether this is from Big Bertha or Sully, because I think that's definitely got to be Sully, and these 3 are Sully, but, this is a pretty long distance that I've never seen before in my ginger growing, so maybe this is Big Bertha, or I'm still inclined to think that Big Bertha and Drake over here just died a long time ago. It's been so many months. So that should start sprouting, and it seems like because I boosted the amount of lighting that these shoots receive, the growth will go exponential from here on out. It's day 404. Growth has been very robust. It's accelerating. You can see in the second shoot of Sully that, the curvature of the pseudostem kind of altered over time. But once the pseudostem direction and, morphology is set, it basically won't change. Unlike many other plants that exhibit phototropism, it's not going to, alter its course to climb towards the sun or anything like that. So Sully is very successful, and this third shoot is really tall now, with only 2 leaves. It's going to be a real doozy because the base of that stem is already so thick. It's as thick as the second shoot, and it's only going to get thicker. And there's a fourth, a spike coming out of there, so that thing is already very thick. It's growing kind of slowly. I think that's due to adventitious root exploration. It just grows in there, in that direction, and spikes up at a perpendicular angle, and it's going to be like rhizome formation underneath. And the good news is that Drake has seemingly resurrected along with Big Bertha. I think these are too far away to be adventitious shoots, and also the positioning is just too uncanny. This is exactly where I placed Big Bertha. I gave it the most room, thinking that would be the most robust one and develop the fastest. And Drake is over there. So if we look at this leaf, it's getting well above 20,000 lux, and that little spot that I thought might be a burn spot hasn't gotten any bigger. So I think this is a safe light range. Let me get my lux meter. Turn this on. It depends on how you orient this thing, but it's getting maybe 22,000. Yeah, I would say that's about accurate. The low 20,000s in lux. So we've set a new upper limit that's safe.